Yeah, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pnoid News, man. Listen, there's a lot of news. Okay, there's a whole lot of news. All just a whole lot. There's just a lot right now. All right, there's a lot going on right now, and I feel like everybody should probably know what is going on right now. So we're gonna start off with Israel. You know what I'm saying? Israel and Iran are about to try to start World War III. And so the most recent thing is that Israel done murdered, a Hamas leader who was the guy who was actually trying to negotiate to get peace and whatnot in Tehran, right? He was there for like the inauguration of the new prime minister, right? So, you know what I mean? They're waiting on an imminent attack, you know what I'm saying? That might be happening or whatever. One did happen today. Hezbollah drone struck some stuff up in, man. Listen, I forget the name of the place. It's Galilee, right? They done drone struck a place in Galilee. It was drone stroke. It sounds like some sexual shit, if I'm being honest with you, but it's not. You know what I mean? And one person was actually hurt, right, who, was actually struck by a missile falling from the Iron Dome system that, it malfunctioned and hit the fucking, its own, friendly fire. Everybody else was kind of just, whatever, you know what I mean? So there's, 17 other people, right? So that's what's going on with that. Kamala has decided to pick her vice presidential candidate. His name is Tim Walz, right? So we're gonna get into, who Tim Walz is. Tim Walz is a 6-year-old politician who's the governor of Minnesota. He received a 100% rating from Planned Parenthood, the American Civil Liberties Union, American Immigration Lawyers Association, AFL-CIO. I don't know how you get a 100% rating from the immigration lawyers and the AFL-CIO and the Team Brotherhood of Teamsters. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. And from the National Organization for Women. He also received single-digit ratings from the National Taxpayers Union, Citizens Against Government Waste, Americans for Tax Reform, and Freedom Works, and the United States Chambers of Commerce. Gave him a 25% rating in 2010. In 2013, he was named Legislator of the Year by the Air Force Sergeants Association. Walz was ranked the 7th most bipartisan House member during the 414th Congress, and the most bipartisan member of Minnesota in the bipartisan index created by the Lugar Association and McCourt School of Public Policy, which ranks members of Congress by measuring how often their bills attract co-sponsors from the opposite party, and how often co-sponsors their bills by members of the opposite party. Right. So, what are his stance? While in Congress, Walz was a strong supporter of gun rights, was endorsed by the NRA Political Victory Fund multiple times, receiving the A grade from organizations. Following the Parkland High School shooting in 2018, he denounced the NRA in a Star Tribune opinion piece and announced that he would donate the equivalent of all the campaign contributions the NRA PVS had given, $18,000, to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. As governors, Walz expressed support for gun regulations in 2023, signing the law, a public safety bill that establishes universal background checks and red flag laws in Minnesota. So that's good. Labor and workers' rights in 2023, Walz signed a law banning captive audience meetings and non-compete clauses, kind of with that. That's not terrible. The law also said sick leave for employees, increased safety inspections, as well as ergonomic requirements to reduce the risk of repetitive strain injuries for warehouse, meatpacking, and healthcare facility workers. The law also granted construction workers stronger protections against wage theft. Walz supported LGBTQ rights, including federal anti-discrimination laws on basis of sexual orientation. So if you're a lettuce, gay, bacon, and tomato, you know what I'm saying? That helps. That's whatever, right? In a 2009 speech, he called for an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Walz voted in favor of the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crimes Prevention Act and the Sexual Orientation Employment Non-Discrimination Act in 2007. He received a 90% grade from the Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest LGBT rights organization. He was announced support for Respect for Marriage Act. As governor, Walz was signed a number of bills to support the LGBTQ community. In 2023, he signed a bill that banned the practice of conversion therapy and another protected gender, blah, 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 blah. Right. All right. Anyway, so next thing, right? Let's talk about England. All right. So in England, you know, I mean, they're having a English civil war right now, between like the normal whites, right, who are impoverished and terrible, and you know, I mean, the fucking government and the immigrants. So basically, what had happened was these three little girls right here were murdered, right, at a dance studio who while they were dancing the Taylor Swift songs. Okay. And where the hell we at? Yep. Okay. So they took to the streets. Motherfucker took over a hotel, burned some shit fucking down. You know what I mean? Ransacked the hotel where they were keeping immigrants. You know what I mean? We're beating immigrants in the streets, all these type of things. You know, good for them. You know what I mean? Congratulations. And then the government came out, right? Oh, wait, that's Bangladesh. And then the government came out and said that they would, you know what I mean, stand here and you know, arrest all the people who participated in the fucking protests, even after the immigrants took to the streets and started macheting, like, you know, I mean, English citizens to death. You know, I mean, the government was only concerned with what the white people did because, you know, of course they were. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, let's get to Bangladesh for the moment. All right. So, Bangladesh. What's going on in Bangladesh? Let me explain what's popping off. So, in Bangladesh, what had happened is that they had a revolution about, you know what I mean, 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. And in this revolution, they really like quotas in fucking Bangladesh and India, right? As far as jobs are concerned, especially for government jobs. And Bangladesh saved a certain number of jobs for, you know, it's like 40% of the government jobs are going to be for the people who fought in the revolution, right? Well, that also turned into, you know what I'm saying, like 35% of jobs for like the kids of like the motherfuckers who fought in the revolution. And now it's like 25% of jobs are saved for the kids who, you know what I mean, like, or the grandkids of like the people who fought in the revolution, which I'm fine for, right? You know, I like the idea of like ancestors and all that type of shit. I think that's fucking great. But the students who are super liberal and woke, and I mean, who went to, you know what I mean, like fucking college and whatnot, right? They're very upset because they can't get these government jobs. I mean, I thought the whole point of college was to, you know what I mean, create your own fucking jobs, you know what I mean, and, you know, fucking start businesses and do all these type of things. But apparently it's to go to fucking, you know what I mean, college and shit, whatever fucking nonsense, dumbass bullshit, whatever, right? And so this is what's actually going on there. Basically, it's a bunch of students who are upset that they can't get government jobs, right? And that's basically what's popping off at the moment. Okay. All right, let's talk about what happened in the stock market this weekend. Basically, fucking U.S. stocks fell down on fucking Monday and shit, right? Basic ass fucking thing, right? And then, once the reason why that fucking fell, well, here's another picture of the stocks falling, okay? Let's start off with the motherfucking anime shit, okay? Hang on. Oh. Man, listen, where the fuck? Bro, listen, that's not the one I wanted. That might be the one I want. There we go. Okay, here is the Japan's thing, right? Basically what happened in Japan, right, was that Japan decided that the motherfucking Bank of Japan wanted to raise its interest rates to try to, like, you know what I mean, arrest inflation inside of fucking Japan, right? And when they did so, this caused, like, a fucking fall in the Nikkei market because everybody had borrowed and leveraged to death, you know what I mean, on the fucking Japanese yen, right? And so when they ended up having to, like, you know, pay higher interest rates, the whole fucking thing collapsed in Japan, right? Which caused Taiwan to motherfucking collapse because all the people in Taiwan were using the fucking yen, right? Which then caused the United States motherfucking stock market to fall because you know how much we're reliant on motherfucking Taiwan because we use all their fucking semiconductors, right? And half of our shit, you know what I'm saying, like fucking is tied in with this whole, oh, the AI, oh, please give it to me, AI. Oh my God, we need it so much. It's our favorite thing, right? And that's what the fuck is going on right now. Okay, so now I got some bananas shit to motherfucking show you, right? Legit, I have some motherfucking crazy, fucking insane ass things I need to show y'all motherfuckers. Oh man, listen, it's back to doing this dumb shit again. Okay, we'll do this. It's cool. I have my fucking headphones right here. We don't have to stand here and do it, you know what I mean, the easy way, right? We can do it the fucking hard way. I don't give a fuck, you goddamn piece of shit computer, right? Okay, so here's what is exactly. I wanted to show y'all some new stuff, right? That I just discovered the other day, right? I think this shit is fucking insane. It scared the ever living shit out of me. Okay. This is a video from Real Estate Mindset, right? I don't know why I got recommended this because I don't watch real estate content. It's not my thing. I'm not over here like, oh, Jim Grant Cardone. Oh, you know what I mean? Not my fucking thing, right? But this scared the ever living shit out of me. Right, and I'm gonna show you that this motherfucker ain't lying then afterwards, right? But like, listen, we're gonna watch this. You know what I'm saying? This is about 39 minutes. I'm gonna stop and chime in and have a conversation about these type of things because this is fucking insane. This autistic motherfucking Texas dude right here has discovered them things that like I think we all need to like really be looking at because his shit's fucking crazy. Let's get to it.
Their pensions. The reality is that the school districts are bankrupt as a household. While 37% of those cannot afford the initial market value as established by the CAD, which means that they will go bankrupt and or they will lose their home.
Breaking news, within the last 24 hours, I've had a viewer email me some incredible information about what's happening behind the scenes with appraisal fraud. And honestly, guys, not only are we going to talk about appraisal fraud, this gentleman, Mitch Vexler, who is the president of Mockingbird Properties, is also going to go into debt-to-income ratio fraud, just how overvalued properties really are around America from a fraud standpoint, a cumulative ratio fraud, corruption standpoint. I'm not even going to talk about income, but you guys, this is an incredible video. This is an incredible person. He's giving us golden pieces of the puzzle that have been missing. And you guys, again, this has been in front of my own face this entire time. This is completely impossible to give you guys the full message here in just one video. And without further ado, you guys, I wanted to bring on Mitch to simply get the groundwork started as to what exactly is happening. Mitch Vexler, sir, thank you for your time. How are you today?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And real quick, before I let you sing, Mitch, and you have a lot to say, brother, goes so deep. It's, I've been researching all this stuff for 2 years, Mitch, and I'm still having a hard time adjusting to what you have just taught me within the first 24 hours of meeting you. And before I let you sing, I just real quick want to show the viewers, what I'm talking about. What has he taught me? And let me zoom in here, you guys. As a loan officer, one thing that always, blew my mind was how when we pass our mortgage licensing test, it asks us what's the maximum debt to income ratio, being that is 43%. But in the real world, we can actually go up to 50% conventional, 56.99% in FHA. And I was always, wondering, how's that possible? And so you started me down a rabbit hole, Mitch, and to the viewers, this is what I want to tell you guys. Essentially, there was a report done in 2018, and they analyzed how many of these mortgages were actually in violation of qualified mortgage protections. In other words, you guys, affordability fraud. And this is what this says. The affected loans would include loans for which the consumer's debt-to-income ratio is above 43%, or the creditor's method of documenting and verifying income or debt is incompatible with Appendix Q. Now, this is the shocking part. And again, Mitch, I'm ashamed of myself. I'm a loan officer. I can't believe I didn't look at this even sooner. Based only on 2018 data, the Bureau estimates that as a result of general QM, which is qualified mortgage loan definitions, 43% DTI limit, approximately 957,000 loans, which total 16% of all closed-end first lien residential mortgages originated in 2018, which means roughly 16% of the loans that they reviewed in 2018 are in violation of qualified mortgage maximum 43% debt-to-income ratio threshold, which means we're right back in subprime territory. Mitch, can you explain to the viewers what you're doing? Can you explain the lawsuit, the fact that we may be going into depression, how 64% of the population can't afford their homes, 37% of mortgage holders at risk of bankruptcy and foreclosure? Just take it away, brother.
Now, look, we've all heard like all types of banana stuff about blah, 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 right before, you know what I'm saying? But this shit here that my man is about to go into is absolutely fucking insane, right? Like, the whole idea, like, oh man, listen, these people are underwater in their mortgages, whatever. That's fucking normal. The shit that my man is about to tell y'all is you pay the fuck attention. Like, pay the fuck, because I'm gonna break it down for you. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna get into it, but this is some shit I've been saying for fucking years, right? This is like literally like some of the biggest fucking original videos on my channel were about the fucking pension crisis and shit. Right, I started off doing economic shit. This is what this is, right? Legitimately, this is me calling it fucking 5-6 years ago, and like him going, yeah, this is what happened 5-6 years ago. Like, legit, you'll watch this shit, fucking crazy.
Okay, so the DTI is a ramification of the real problem. So the real problem is that fraud is being committed by the appraisal districts. So then you say, how's fraud being committed? Well, in reality, when they say, an appraisal district says the value of your home in 2024, as an example, went up 40% or 60% in 1 year, there is no math to back that up. That's a straight lie. Whatever they're telling you is a straight lie. Their database.
So an appraisal district is when your school district goes around, or your local municipality, or your county, or your state, whatever it is, right? When they go around, they like find out how much your home is worth, right? And they send you a statement about like what you're going to end up getting taxed on, right? And like these are appraisers who work for the fucking government, right? They come through and they tell you what your shit's worth. They're not actually using any real model to make that shit happen, right? Let's keep going, like to fucking come up with these numbers.
Bases are irretrievably corrupted, and we have all the evidence. Everything I'm saying, all that evidence is readily available. But coming back to your point on the DTI, to give you an idea of how bad this is, the DTI is just the tip of the iceberg. By itself, it doesn't mean anything. However, when you understand what the debt coverage ratio is as established by the federal government, it's 28%. So a homeowner should not have more debt on their house than 28% of what that income will allow. Now you start to get into the real truth of how bad this is. So if it's 28% as established by requirements under the federal government, i.e. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, what does that mean when the real number is closer to 50%? Meaning that it takes 50% of a family's household income to pay a tax based on the value of that home. The reality is they don't have the money. And that's how you get to the 37% of the population. Let's call it households, not population, but households. And 37% of the households means single family homes and multifamily renters. That's a household. Well, 37% of those cannot afford the initial market value as established by the CAD, which means that they will go bankrupt and or they will lose their home. The whole system is set up to defraud the public. So what you're really looking at is a conspiracy to defraud. On a large scale, that's the problem. And that problem runs all the way into Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, the information you were just looking at. And it all stems from one simple fact, which is that the CADs, the central appraisal districts, are not doing appraisals under any definition in law. We have all the evidence to back that up. We have evidence on tape that says we took 60,000 properties outside of the database, put them in Excel, manipulated them, and put them back in the database. For us, myself, my accountant internally, that opened up Pandora's box, and we ran what was called an infection rate spreadsheet. That one statement of 60,000 properties turned into 76% corrupt data in Denton Central Appraisal District. Let's assume that the chief appraiser, when he made that statement, lied. Let's assume that it's 80,000 because we ran the math. That 80,000 number turns into 92% corrupt data. In other words, the database is so irretrievably corrupted, it cannot, under any circumstance, be put back together. When people get their bills on their initial notice of value that says your house is now worth, according to chief appraiser of Denton Central Appraisal District, $514,000, the statement simply isn't true. It's a straight up lie. How do you know that? Well, 67% of the population, based on household income, cannot afford a $514,000 home. 37% of that are going to lose their home because they can't, not only can they not afford it, but the math doesn't work for them under any circumstance. So the idea that, well, we'll keep raising taxes doesn't work because people don't have the money to pay. 37% of your population right now today, household population, doesn't have the money. So where's that money going to come from for these municipalities or taxing entities, school districts, to keep raising more money? The answer is it isn't. It's over. The reality is that the school districts are bankrupt. And how do we know that? Well, we know that because 3 weeks ago in the Community Impact, there was an article on the Louisville Independent School District stating that they had their hand out for $15 million to the federal government. Well, that's an interesting thing because in November of 23, they just got permission from the state to raise $1.7 billion of new bonds.
Okay, so let me explain what's going on here. The school districts in your municipalities, and everybody's municipality in the country, I don't give a fuck where you are. You could be in fucking Idaho, you could be in goddamn fucking Maine, you could be in fucking Florida, you could be in California, you could be in Texas, you could be in PA, you could be fucking Virginia, you could be, I don't care, it doesn't fucking matter, all right? They're bankrupt, all right? Fucking basically, they promised a whole bunch of pensions back in the 1930s, right, in the 40s, where they ever like 15, 16% growth every fucking year. And they said, listen, as long as you get 13% growth, these things will be fully funded in perpetuity, right? Well, the thing is, 70s, 80s, 90s happened where, like, you didn't get that much fucking growth in the fucking market. And, they ended up being, fucking 90% unfunded, okay? So now they're trying to make it up by standing here telling you that your fucking house, that they're going to tax. Like, they can't raise the tax rates any more than, like, 1 or 2%, right? Because if, say you have a house that's worth $100,000, right? And, fucking, you wanted to stand here and, you have like a 1% tax on that. It's $1,000 a year, right? If you raise it up by like 1 more percent, that's $2,000 a year, right? Raise it up by like fucking 6%, that's $6,000 a year. That's $500 a fucking month. If you're on a fixed income, that's fucking damn near impossible to fucking pay. That's where this gets to, right? So now you have a house that's worth $300,000, right? You want 1 fucking percent, that's $3,000 a year. You want 2%, that's $6,000 a year. You want fucking 3%, you know what I'm saying? That's fucking, $9,000 a fucking year. Math, right? This is how this fucking math works, okay? So these things become fucking impossible to be able to pay. So they can't really raise the rates any more than they're already raising them. So what they do, they fucking raise the value of the fucking homes. When they raise the value of the homes, all of a sudden now, the people are allowed to like borrow more money because they can go to the bank. Well, my local municipality said that my fucking house is worth $500,000, right? They say they take out, they take out the home equity in their fucking house and they're able to pay for that fucking tax payment, right? And on top of that, buy a boat. Right, but the truth is that like these houses aren't fucking actually worth that fucking much money. It's just they're fucking standing here defrauding the public and telling them that's what it's worth, and the people can't actually afford to fucking pay for these things. That's where we are right now. This is subprime, like on a massive scale. And as he said, like, listen, you take a small percentage of the houses, like say you have like one block where the house is all of a sudden, like their appraiser said it's going to be worth this much money, right? Worth like, fucking $100,000 more than what it was. Well, all the houses all of a sudden around those houses are now worth $100,000 more. Not all the houses around those houses, and see, this is an infection. It just spreads like a fucking plague. Get what I'm saying? Right? And all of a sudden everybody's fucking house rich. But nobody can afford a fucking home. That's what the fuck's going on with this shit. That's why that's why none of this shit made any sense to any of us. Is because we didn't understand the reason and how the fuck this happened. This is where this is. This is why I'm bringing this to y'all.
So coming back to what you started this with, and looking at the debt ratios, when you understand what's going on here, those tax dollars that are raised are then given to the taxing entities, which are the school districts and municipalities, et cetera. And then they take that money, those cash receipts, tax receipts, and they lever it 20 to 1. Well, okay, so the value of your home is now 40% greater market value than what it really should be based on using legitimate math. If you want to use legitimate math, you can say inflation rate, whatever. But the reality of it is that they're not. They're simply pulling numbers out of thin air and saying, this is the value of your home. Pay it, and if you don't like it, we'll take your home. So they're putting a gun to the head of all the taxpayers. Now,
And Mitch,
this gets much worse when it gets into the bonds.
And I want to go into the bonds, but I want to reiterate some very valuable, information that you just gave us. Essentially, these appraisal districts assess the value of houses. They assess the value of houses so that as consumers, we pay taxes. Those taxes are taken and given revenue for school districts and things like that. You made some comments here that I think that the viewers really need to understand what you're saying. Number one, the school districts are bankrupt, even with the overvaluation happening, even with the elevated revenues happening. You also mentioned that roughly 37% of households right now are in jeopardy of bankruptcy, potentially even foreclosure.
Or losing.
Another thing that you mentioned that it was a really big thing, man, is how the data that they're using to value our homes on a state level, a state taxing level, the appraisal district, roughly 76% of that data is corruption, and therefore this is an impossible system to correct. Is that kind of roundabout what?
Yeah, it's worse than that. So back up. So you said on the state level, it's on the CAD level. So the CADs create the value by pulling numbers out of thin air. They literally do not have any mathematical formulas to back them up. They are in violation of what's called USPAP, which is Uniform Standards of Professional.
Yo, man, let me say what up to everybody. Chat, we got some new cats out here, man. Listen, all right, check us out. Let me say, hey, to Serene Scott, nice to see y'all out here. Raymond, hey, nice to see y'all out here. Mad Warrior, nice to see you out here. My fucking King Yeti, how you doing? Johnny Boy, Cappy, you know what I mean? Time Force, bro, my brother. Killing Joke, man, listen, dude. Yo, your ankles, you know what I'm saying? Said you need to get your right ear checked, all right? Like, that motherfucker legitimately is getting out of pocket, okay? I saw him on the corner the other day. I mean, he was, he had a sign up that said, we'll blow anybody for money. You know what I mean? Like, listen, this is not cool, okay? You know what I mean? He said, it's not positive, dude. He's in the tent on the side of the highway giving out fucking blowjobs and shit. Not positive, right? Yeah, listen. Yeah, anyway, man, listen, we're gonna keep banging on this shit, bro. Like, it's just, this shit's fucking crazy.
Appraisal practice. But this gets so much more worse in that the state comptroller has what's called a property valuation study. And the purpose of the property valuation study is to obtain additional money so that the state comptroller can move money from one school district to another. The problem is that the state comptroller then turns around to the CAD, doesn't matter where the CAD is, it could be Travis County, it could be Denton County, and says, I need more money, go raise the values. Now, there's a problem. The state comptroller has no authority in law whatsoever to insist and set property values. That's not what the property valuation study is there for, and that's not what is allowed. Yet, under the hood, that's exactly what's happening. So we have the evidence that certain communities have been targeted. Pilot Point, Aubrey, Sanger, my subdivision specifically, have been targeted for increase of values. Now, how do we know that there's an increase in values? Well, in 2024, if the average increase across Denton County was 24%, which isn't true, that's also, in other words, they said it, but that's not the number. But on average, the math says if it went up 24%, how do you explain properties that went up 65%? How do you explain retail buildings that went up 8 standard deviations above the mean? And the answer is you can't, but for fraud. So this problem runs all the way to the top. The state comptroller is in this up to his eyeballs. And there is no way around that fact because that property valuation study is being used as a weapon against property owners. That's the reality. And by the way, it's not just LISD that's bankrupt, so is DISD. Because coincidentally, about a week ago or 10 days ago, DISD, Denton Independent School District, had their hand out from the federal government for another $12 million.
You know, Mitch, and correct me if I'm wrong here, man, and I'm still trying to absorb what you're saying. You've given me so many missing pieces. I can't thank you enough for that. I hope we're doing the same for the viewers. It seems like basically everyone's turning a blind eye because they need money. And, you know, as a result of everyone at every level turning a blind eye because, again, they need money to survive, you know, you have what's referred to as a cumulative corruption problem that's just getting worse and worse and worse without any solution in sight. Can you explain to the viewers how this is potentially going to impact mom and pop shops, pension holders? Can you talk about how bad this really is for the bond market and how deep that goes?
Okay, so specific to Denton County, but the same math applies to every county. Doesn't matter if it's Travis or what have you, Brazoria, Johnson. You end up in a situation where the money is levered at the bond level 20 to 1. So if it's $100,000, the bonds will be raised by a taxing entity. So the taxing entity receives 100 grand. They'll lever that up 20 to 1. Now, the problem is, we've already discussed that 37% of the population can't even afford to pay their taxes as currently assessed. Therefore, there is no more money available to pay these bonds in the future, but for abject theft. Well, when you think about what is a school district, what are their assets? Well, the assets aren't the buildings. And I know that because I've bought schools and we have torn them down. The asset is the land. Past that, there is no asset at a school district other than its cash tax receipts. Well, if people can't afford to pay those cash receipts, then in my world, the definition of bankruptcy is when your liabilities are greater than your assets. The school districts, by definition, are bankrupt. They can keep trying to kick this can down the road, but this will implode. Here's the big problem. Who are the bondholders? They're pension funds. Who supplies the money to the pension funds? Mom and pop. Switch it over to the mortgages. So people have mortgages on their homes. They can't afford the homes. They walk away. The banks take the hit. But if it's a private mortgage lender, who put the money into the private mortgage lender? Mom and pop. Pension funds, mom and pop. So mom and pop not only are going to lose their home, if they have pensions, they're going to lose their pensions. This money is not going to get paid back. There's no math on this planet to be able to justify the ability to pay these loans back. These entities are bankrupt, and if the governments don't get involved, the governments are unlawful. So you hit on a point, which was, why are they?
Yo, listen, this is all Johnny Boy, go fucking boomers. Yo, listen, tell me this shit isn't fucking crazy. Yo, this shit's fucking insane. Right, like I told you all about this, you know, I mean, like 6-7 years ago, right? When I started my channel, like fucking, I literally, like, we used to cover like the pension crisis just constantly. Like it was like, I don't know, like every 10 videos was a video on the fucking pension crisis, and this is why, right? Because I knew that this shit was gonna fucking end up exploding, right? I knew that this was something that, like, you know, either A, the federal government was just gonna have to bail, right, and just bail and bail and bail and bail and bail, right, and just pour into this fucking endless hole. Or B, I don't know, right? That was like, I don't know. Well, apparently they found the B, right? I have no idea. Yet this is a giant deal, Billy, right? So basically, okay, we all stood here. Like there's a couple girls of groups I run around with on Discord and shit. We're sitting here going like, there's no way they're gonna be able to like keep kicking this can down the road, right? And they go, well, you know what, man? Listen, I know we got 30-year mortgages. How about 40 and 50-year mortgages? Like, what? Like, here soon, this is going to be generational mortgages, right? Like, they're just, you're like, you know what, man? Listen, 5 years on a fucking car payment. You know, like, listen, yeah, that's about normal. You know what we need, bro? Listen, we can't make enough money off these fucking cars. Let's do 10-year fucking car loans, right? Yo, they're fucking going out of their minds. They're just doing anything they will to fucking kick this shit the fuck down the road. Anything they can to fucking just kick this motherfucking can down the fucking road. And that's where we are right now. That's what this is. They are kicking the can down the road. And this kicking the can down the road ends up standing here, like, causing massive amounts of distortions inside of the fucking system. Right? And this is what this is. This is exactly what this is at the moment. These motherfuckers, they're distorting the entire fucking market so that they can be able to pay a bill that, like, they shouldn't be able to pay because, like, they didn't, you know what I mean, like, plan this properly. They're trying to make, all right, the basic premise is the state stays in power because the state is infallible, right? But the problem is that the state, you know what I mean, isn't infallible. It's a, you know, like it's a fucking state and shit, right? And with the state being infallible, not being infallible, the state being infallible or being fallible, right? That means that like the state can stand here and end up not paying its debts, which means that it loses fucking power. That's what's going on right now. They're upset that the state is losing power. And so in order to be able to maintain power, they have to keep their promises, and keeping their promises means paying the pensions and paying for the things that they promised they would pay. Well, in order to do so, this is what they have to do in order to fuck around. This is the mentality, right? This is what's going on. You know what I mean? That's the mentality.
Why are they doing this? Well, it's because they're getting paid to do this.
Mitch, if I can kind of hone in here, and again, beautiful presentation. These data points are useless. If 76% of the data is corrupt data, we know that it's useless. You have the infection rate spreadsheet at mockingbirdproperties.com. But I wanted to tell the viewers that when I initially talked to you, Mitch, and again, you opened my eyes, and I admitted this to Mitch as well. I said, Mitch, here's the thing, everyone's turning a blind eye. The teachers collecting the money, the appraisers, the loan officers, all of these people are turning a blind eye. Like, I knew that in my test, it says max 43% DTI, but AUS automated underwriting allows me to go 56.99. So I was like, Mitch, what about, aren't some of these people innocent? Right? Like maybe they don't understand they're giving a blind eye. Maybe they don't understand the corruption and fraud they're involved in. And will you tell the viewers what you told me, Mitch?
Okay. The idea that these people are innocent is complete nonsense. First of all, ignorance of the law is no excuse. They will tell you, because we've already heard this multiple times in a report as recently as the IAO report that was requested by the chief appraiser in Denton County, that, well, we just need more employees and we need a bigger, newer building in order to fix these problems. No, that's not reality. So they've somewhat admitted they've got problems, but they refuse to articulate them. And it gets much deeper in that. Ignorance of the law, like I said, is not an excuse. However, realize that I stood.
Yo, what up, Gil? Nice to see you out here, my brother. Listen, you know what I mean? We're covering some crazy ass shit right now. This shit is fucking absolutely goddamn insane. I recommend you go back and watch from the fucking beginning.
In front of the board in Denton County in November, I delivered to them 5 binders, 1.5 inch thick, full of evidence. And I guarantee they took those binders and tossed them in the trash. In other words, their intent is 100% shown. If you refuse to understand the law that you are charged with, the boards are charged with adhering to the law. USPAC, Texas Property Tax Code, Texas Constitution, U.S. Constitution of the United States of America. That is their charge. They all signed an oath. The board members, chief appraiser, deputy chief appraisers, ARB, and the RPAs, real property advisors. They all signed an oath to protect and defend both constitutions. They all violated that oath, and that's a 3rd-degree felony, straight up. So you cannot possibly say, well, we just didn't know. I'm sorry, that's your charge. And the bottom line is your
Thank you. It's appreciated, Raymond.
actions are putting people's lives in harm's way, right? Mom and pop can't afford and they lose their home. The reality of the situation is this is going to get out of hand. We're here to try and stop it from getting out of hand. Get in front of it before it runs you over.
And Mitch, I want to talk about that. And basically, this is, and we'll do more in depth on this, but this is a copy and paste fraud scheme that's been going on for some time. I really want to talk to you about 2016. I like to talk to my viewers about the double bubble that we're in. And without you even knowing that I was talking about this, you pinned, kind of honed in on 2016. I'll get there in a minute. Will you tell the viewers, about the big lawsuit that you filed, that you and your people have filed October of 2023, and what you hope to gain?
Yo, Johnny, you can't get ahead of this, right? Okay, here's what you do, right? This is what China did, and this is what China is doing. Basically, you outlaw short positions, right? If you don't have people killing it on the back end, right? And you let everything kind of fall down naturally, it'll fall down naturally. but it won't like explode. Like the short positions, like when you have, and this is why like China's economy hasn't completely collapsed, is because you're not allowed like to short the fucking market, right? You know what I mean? Like fucking like so. If you have people who are able to short the market, but it's like pouring gasoline on a fucking fire. Well, it's like it's like setting fire to a gasoline tank is kind of what it is, right? You kind of got to let it out like on its own and let it do its own thing and make the correction. Now the problem is that all the banks are backed up. Like most of their fucking like the shit that they're leveraging off of are either treasury bills or MBS products, which is the fucking mortgage-backed securities, right? This is where this is, and this is the problem. So like you would imagine if like the mortgage-backed securities ended up losing their fucking value, and all of a sudden like all the money that they had wasn't worth anything anymore, because like it had nothing to back it, right? Like their leverage would end up being called due. This is the problem, right? Is like you have to eliminate short positions, things like CDOs and CDO swaps and all that type of shit. All that has to be like outlawed, right? Like the market manipulation that allows people to like make money on the leverage on the backside, right? That's the only way to stop all this from absolutely like just turning us into the fucking Great Depression. You know what I mean? Yeah, Cappy, it 100% is, right? That's where we are right now.
By that lawsuit?
The lawsuit is interesting because where we are is literally asking the appellate court in Fort Worth to declare that the law exists. So initially we went to court, the judge wouldn't let the case roll forward. She didn't want to hear it because this is a political football. And the defense counsel stood up and said, but Your Honor, and by the way, this is on tape, transcript, this is how you and I make our living. He literally said that, and we've got it. So we noticed up the judge one more time and said, you really ought to reconsider this. And so where we are now, it's going to the appellate court, I believe, within the next 60 days. But that's how silly this is. In other words, we're going to win at the appellate court, and the appellate court is going to say, of course the law exists. What the hell is the matter with you? Well, the second they do that, here's the reality. It'll be 5 minutes later, and DCAD will be in breach of what was just awarded. So in other words, we'll go to court. The appellate court will kick it back into the original court. We'll get all the evidence put up on the table. And obviously we have no idea what the judge is going to do, but the bottom line is the law exists. The bottom line is we've got every stitch of evidence such that there is no way out of the box for them. They have put themselves in this position. They have committed fraud. They have broken USPAP, which is probably the most important thing, because USPAP it's a governor. So what is USPAP? USPAP is designed to be objective. When they violate USPAP and ignore its existence, they then become subjective. When you become subjective, you now end up in the situation that we've got where your database is absolutely irretrievably corrupt. It's of no value to anybody, and therefore you're stealing. When somebody tells you, which I did, that you are committing fraud, and in the recent cases, we even have RPAs committing perjury, you're going to have a problem. So the idea that they're innocent, not a chance.
And Mitch, before we go in, excuse me, Mitch, before we go into solutions and what happens next, can we go back a little bit and can you tell the viewers how you calculated the 40% overvaluation? Because you came up with that number based on an entirely different way. I've been looking at income. You're looking at fraud. I mean, it's amazing to me how you've been able to put all of this together, and it actually aligns with a lot of what I've been saying. But yet, you're talking about, again, fraud. So it's amazing what you're discovering here. Can you explain to the viewers how you came up with that 40%, and can you talk about 2016 and potentially how you saw a bubble in house values forming as early as 2016?
Okay, so we triangulated the income.
There goes a link to this video. I'll throw it in the description for y'all then. All right. So you have it, for later on. But like, yeah, listen, do you want me to put this in the Discord too? So you guys fucking, grab a hold of it, whatever the fuck y'all want. Because like this shit's fucking Johnny. Tell me this shit's not fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, yo, this shit's fucking nuts. Sit. You might want to go back about like 35, 40 minutes into this stream, bro, and just check it out though. You know what I'm saying?
Which is what you had just mentioned. But we had also triangulated the inflation rate, and we had also triangulated the formulas.
Yeah, we covered that too, motherfucking, goddamn it, Gil. Like, yeah, listen, again, I covered all the news before I started doing this, right? I covered the UK riots, I covered the Bangladesh shit, I covered the Israel-Hamas thing, Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz, you know what I mean? Like, I covered everything before this. You know, I made sure I got all the news out of the fucking way before we got to this, because this is fucking crazy. Because I have, like, another piece of a video. I'm not going to do the whole thing, you know, just, like, 5 or 6 minutes. Because, like, I wanted to show y'all that, like, I'm not bullshitting about any of this shit. This dude literally, like, fucking just looked it up on the MLS.
As required under USPAP. Average, and they were within 1 or 2 points, percentage points of each other. So the 40%, we started to figure out that there was a problem in 2016 as a result of one of my properties getting hit. It jumped. I think they tried that year for like $1.6 million coming off of $1 million. And I knew that there was a problem. And I knew that they acted like car salesmen. The real estate agent or RPA we were dealing with, he had to go to the back room to try and cut a deal to get it back where the real value was, which was hovering around $1 million at that time. So that, in my mind, said, well, wait a minute. If you're going to act like a car salesman, then what else are you hiding? And then we started to dig in. So year after year after year, we virtually had to file a lawsuit every single year, and that's a violation of the law. If you look up for the viewers, go and take a good look under the Texas Property Tax Code at 2301E and 2301B. You will be horrified at what you're looking at, because when you've been burned by those taxing authorities, I guarantee they have violated those 2 paragraphs. And I guarantee that's how you ended up losing so much money. And it becomes a big ticket. So watch this for a second. If the value of your home goes up $200,000 over 5 years, okay, you understand that's $5,000 a year over 5 years. You literally wrote a check for $25,000 to a CAD that didn't deserve the money, that has lied to you. That's how bad this math is. And then, of course, it gets worse when you get into the bonds and the mortgages and everything else. It's going to blow to shreds.
And I'm going to do, I think we got a separate video we could do specifically on bonds, pension holders, retirement, school districts. You know, I know we're giving the viewers a lot here, but if I may continue, you know, talking about the 40%, you know, you have your, and this is on your website, Mockingbird Properties, you have the math, how you came up with the 40%. But I would ask Mitch, and can you talk about, certainly if we lost 40% in value, right? If it went down 40% value, obviously our entire system, in my opinion, is built on the backs of homeowners and the value of their homes. Wouldn't a 40% drop create a depression? How does this end, Mitch?
This ends worse than that. And the reason why, let's assume that the CADs get their act together, which isn't going to happen. It's a bad assumption, but let's follow me for a second. If they said, okay, we'll start backing these values down, you end up in a circular argument because they've created debt loads that still need to be supported. Therefore, they can't back it down. The 40% overvaluation is at a minimum. It's not a maximum. And when you associate the word fraud with what the CADs have done, it's like you realize that the bond market picks up on the CAD values. They say, well, this house must be worth $514,000 because that's what CAD says. Well, problem is it isn't true. So the bond underwriters themselves have in fact not done their own due diligence and have picked up on the values based on what the CADs are saying. And we already know that the CADs aren't adhering to USPAP. Now the dominoes start falling. So the 40% is a minimum. When you associate the word fraud with what's going on into the bond world and it starts backing up, what's the real value of those bonds? 13 cents on the dollar if you're lucky. And so all of these things are connected and there's no way out. See, if you look at what's called a Gaussian channel and standard deviation, and you understand how standard deviation.
There's some point during this video or the next one, I'm not sure which one it is, but basically average household income has fallen by like $10,000 in the past 2 years, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, and as the unemployment thing creeps up, you have all these massive debt loads on these fucking people where like the houses aren't assets. You know what I mean? They're fucking debt. And if you can't afford the fucking payment anymore, goddamn, bro. 2008 on fucking steroids.
Works in my world of quantitative finance or something called smoothing. Well, had they have done smoothing, which is a mathematical formula, which means you would have been telling the truth all the way along, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation and staring down the depth of a double-barrel shotgun. But the reality of it is, because they've been committing fraud at least since 2016, which we can verify, and which is on our website, the cumulative effect of that is that there is no way out. You cannot pay debt back because you'd have to steal every asset that's out there in order to accomplish that task. This is the abject definition of socialism on steroids. And for what it's worth, anybody that thinks that Texas can't go the way of California, you're delusional. I mean, that's where we are. This is exactly why we filed this lawsuit.
Mitch, tell the viewers how what's happening is destroying capitalism, and explain to the viewers how you're a developer in real estate and how you yourself have stopped building. And then I want to talk about how are they getting away with this, but please just start about, what is this doing to capitalism? Can we ever get back to that? Are you no longer building? Why?
I'm not building because why would I buy a piece of land and go through all the brain damage and all the development damage and all the inflation risk and all the employee risk problems when in fact that's all superseded by the potential of being extorted by a CAD. And there was a certain situation not too long ago in Sherman, Texas, where I was asked to develop a Class A multifamily site, and that city had just implemented impact fees. And I had a very nice but firm conversation. I said, look, I'm a Class A builder. I don't need you, and you need me. And I said, I understand how crass that sounds, but if you think I'm going to pay you for the privilege of coming into your city to build a Class A development and put money in your pocket at the expense of my renters, you would be wrong. So needless to say, we didn't get a deal done, but then since then, we've seen the lawsuit being filed. Why would I, or anybody, a developer, open themselves up to straight up extortion? And that's where we are. This is a criminal conspiracy to defraud. And the extortion side of my comment, just so you understand, I did send a very detailed letter to my attorney outlining that what's happening here falls under RICO. It matches every single one of the 7 criteria to a T. So the one hand of the government doesn't want to say, well, this hand of the government is doing bad. However, the federal government doesn't have any love for the state of Texas, so we'll see where this goes over the long haul.
Mitch, the question is, I want to ask you, how are they getting away with this? So please, from what you've seen, how are they getting away with this? And number 2, are you familiar? Well, first of all, are you familiar with the Chevron doctrine being reversed?
Extremely familiar with the Chevron doctrine, but but before we do that, because your question was, how are they getting away with it?
Take it away, brother.
It's actually kind of simple. And the truth is they're getting paid. These individual people, be it an ARB member, although they're not paid a lot, in fairness, but the RPAs are paid, the chief appraiser is paid, the deputy chief appraisers are paid, and they get a pension. So they cannot possibly say, well, we didn't know. What they'll say is, well, this is how we were taught. Well, my response to that is, if you were taught to commit murder, does it make it legal? The answer is, of course not. This isn't what you were taught. USPAP is a requirement under your licensing. You violated USPAP, you violated your license, you violated your oath that you signed under the Texas Constitution, and that is a 3rd-degree felony. The box is complete. There is no way out. We're just simply pointing out to the public and eventually to a judge who wants to listen, here are the problems. And you can't go any further because the money isn't there to be had. You have to come up with another solution. Of course, we do know what that solution is, but that's a different topic.
And so, and I want to end on the solution. I hate ending on like, it's hard not to when now I'm aware of this, like I'm having nightmares on this, brother. But, recently the Chevron doctrine was struck down, right? And obviously Chevron doctrine, from my understanding, which is limited, gives these agencies such as central appraisal districts authority to break the Constitution and law, to put it bluntly. Can you explain how the reversal of the Chevron doctrine may help your case?
Okay, so Chevron doctrine was about government overreach, and that law existed up until about 30 days ago. And what you really have here at the tail end of the day, given all of our evidence, you literally have the state of Texas doing an end run around its own constitution. And under the sovereignty clause of the US Constitution, the state of Texas will lose, because what is the overriding factor is the US Constitution. So you end up in a bad situation here where all these participants are automatically deemed guilty. So Chevron deference is gone. What the CADs hide behind is the idea, well, we have immunity. No, you don't. Not on an individual level, not on a state level. And they're so ignorant, they don't even understand what their own insurance coverage is. So they can say, well, this is just the way we were taught. Go ahead, say that in front of a judge. We'll have a field day with it.
Very good, very good. And let's move into a solution, Mitch, which it seems like just preparing for a depression and losing 40% of value. But I want to, before I do that, I want to show the viewers, if you guys are interested in getting more information about this lawsuit, about the evidence that he has, go to his website, Mockingbird Properties. He actually has a public petition. You guys don't have to do a lot of stuff, but if you come here, the body of evidence here, the videos here is just, you guys, this is overwhelming. I mean, the amount of research, Mitch, that you and your team have done is just shocking to me. You guys have videos here. There's links to videos. There's links to the petitions. Mitch, I'm thinking to myself, what are the people that retired, they are planning on retired next year or just retired, their pension, their pensions being destroyed, value being destroyed, entering a depression, the whole banking system, is a fraud. Everything is insolvent. School districts are bankrupt. Is there a solution here?
There is, but you have to break it down to everybody's individual level. So not that I want to be a doomsday type situation, but the math is the math, and they can't get away from it. So taxes have to be paid. This isn't a case that taxes shouldn't be paid. This is a case of fraud being committed on such a mass scale that system must be shut down. There is no way to fix this system. So you can say, to make things quantifiable so it's objective versus subjective, so it's quantifiable. What you would say is, okay, if I buy a house for $500,000, that's the value of that house until I sell the house. If I build a house for $485,000, that's the value of the house until I sell that house. Why? Because under appraisal law, you have a willing buyer and a willing seller. It's irrefutable. It's objective. Now, you would take that to the next level and say, how am I going to get the tax dollars for the school districts? Well, here's the hybrid. The hybrid is fine. Your chocolate bar is going to go up 15 cents. Why? Because that's objective. You know what a chocolate bar costs. You know what a 2x4 costs. You know what a window costs. It goes up by 10 or 15 cents. Objective. What have you just accomplished? You wiped out 80% of the fat that's literally getting paid to have a job right now today that shouldn't have a job. That would include the ARBs. The Denton Central Appraisal District would go from 80 employees down to 10 instantly. Those people who are in the real estate tax consulting business, in reality, wouldn't have a job because everything is now quantifiable. They shouldn't have a job because what are they really doing? They're getting paid a percentage. And by the way, this is built into the numbers of the CADs. CADs know exactly what's going on. Well, we have to cover off this 30% that these people are getting. So they play all sorts of games to settle the values. Here's the problem. You can settle the values till the cows come home. It didn't do anything to fix USPAP. It didn't do anything to stop you from screwing over the public by avoiding USPAP. And until people legitimately say, we're going to put a stop to this, this problem will continue and it will blow up. That's what the math says. I mean, there's no.
All right, we're gonna check out this just like 5 minutes of this other video real quick because I want to show you all the evidence for what the fuck this guy's talking about.
Walker Bush once said, if this is a war, they started it, they committed fraud, their arrogance and their ignorance is beyond compare. This is a criminal conspiracy to defraud. It's not just about you. It's not.
Hey man, listen, you stop beating motherfucking Cappy. Like, goddamn it, gaming.
Not just about me. The reality is, the more people that get involved with this, there's power in numbers. They believe it because their attorneys told them. The reality is their attorneys have committed malpractice. Qualified immunity, just to give you an idea, DCAD or any CAD for that matter, cannot get past the first sentence of qualified immunity.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers as it's a follow-up on the fraud and corruption that's going on across the
I will do what the fuck I want.
nation on a central appraisal district level. And it's starting to look like, guys, and we're starting to figure out that fraud is actually stronger than quantitative tightening. And so I have our guest star, a hero of our community, someone that I have met within 48 hours, has absolutely changed my life and my understanding of the fraud and corruption. And the point of this video today is Mitch and I are going to basically tell you guys that the problem, the valuation, overvaluation fraud extends well past Denton County, well past Texas, and well past residential property. And so I am honored to share the screen with you, Mitch. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. I just, again, I really appreciate you. And I wanted to show the viewers that it does, exist. The problem with the fraud exists outside of your county. So what I did is I actually tracked what you were saying in my own county in Houston. So I live in Harris County, and I want to show the viewers that, I have proof positive, undisputable proof that homeowners are getting.
In general, man, you want to hop in, bro? We can go to Discord real quick and come my fucking general. You know what I mean? All right, I'll keep playing this.
Robbed by the appraisal district, even in my own county. This is less than 48 hours after meeting you, Mitch. So, and I also want to show you, Mitch, that you talking to the community here of Real Estate Mindset, the community of YouTube, it has a purpose. That you are giving us value and we're using that value to empower ourselves. And so I have found 3 MLS listings that I would like to show you and I would like to show to our viewers.
Yo,
and so let's
up?
start here. And what you guys see on the
you watching
screen
the
right
stream?
now is active.
Yeah, man.
Yo, listen, this shit's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah. I watched what you fucking sent me, right? And then I fucking immediately asked you, silver?
Yo, listen, I don't know, dog. I don't know. This shit's fucking bananas.
Oh man, we live right now.
Yeah, we live at the moment.
Sick.
All right,
I
bro.
got you.
I'm gonna keep playing this.
Active MLS. This is the multiple listing service. Generally, you have to be a licensed realtor to access this. This is what homeowners are trying to sell their house for. So if they can sell their house for this amount, then it's considered market value. If they can't sell it for that amount, then it's not market value. And so what I want to demonstrate is this first property right here. First of all, this has had $30,000 in price cuts. The listing price is $437,500. This has been listed for 51 days. So we have a property listed for 51 days, $30,000 in price cuts, okay? In other words, Mitch, they cannot sell this property. This property cannot be sold in spring and summer home buying peak. This property cannot be sold for $437,000. But the problem that I'm trying to point out again is the problem that you mentioned yesterday extends well past Texas and Denton County. Look at what Harris County Appraisal District has assessed this value at. According to the appraisal district, the market value, as you see here, is not what they're listing it for. It's actually $521,000. The difference in what they're trying to sell it for versus what they're being taxed on is $83,000 I am showing you guys proof positive that this house is over assessed by 19%. But the thing is, guys, is it gets much worse. Here's another one. Same area. This took me 10 minutes of research. This property, Mitch, has been cut almost $100,000. The days on the market is 163 days. Okay, which means they cannot sell this house. They cannot sell this house for $427,000. Yet when we go to the county assessor, they didn't even assess this for in the 400,000s, Mitch. They assessed this property for $567,000. That is $140,000 difference, or a 32% fraud overvaluation. It's also very interesting that Bank of America owns this property. That's a subject for another day. Now, I wanted to end for the viewers to let them know that this is every price point. Look at this price point. This is a price point of $245,000. Now, strangely enough, this has been on the market for 53 days, and for some reason, Mitch, they went up on the asking price. You see right there, $5,000. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But they're trying to sell this house for $245,000. The county has assessed it at a market value of $318,000. That is a $73,000 difference. That is overvalued by 30%. And again, what I'm really, really trying to say here, guys, this is happening. This is happening right now. And all you really need to do to figure out if it's happening in your area is the research. Go on MLS and then pull up the CAD, the Central Appraisal District. And not only that, Mitch also motivated me to look into, is Harris County Appraisal District going bankrupt? Is there any fraud? And look at what I found, guys. Yes, actually, Mitch is right. Even in Harris County, there is a massive, massive fraud scheme going on right now with Mike Miles, the superintendent of Harris County School District. And the crazy thing here, Mitch, and I don't know if you've seen this before, personally, I haven't, he got caught, Mitch, funneling money, tax revenue, okay? And he sent that money to a school that he started. He chartered a school in Colorado, and he's sending our proceeds, our tax dollars, out of state to a charter school. And he got popped for that. And so, Mitch, I want to talk about, we're going to show the viewers the FBI charts. We're going to show them the kryptonite. We're going to show them,
All right, man, listen. So, yeah. Fucking General. You see this shit, bro? General.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
He's generally pretty quiet.
No, he's not. So, do you see this shit, man?
Yeah. I'm trying to watch you live. But, there's a delay, obviously. You could share your screen, but I think if this is true, it seems like it might be. This is pretty bad.
Yeah, a little bit.
This isn't pretty bad. This is a fucking dumpster fire.
I think Sticks X and Hammer would call this a double doozy.
Yeah, this is pretty fucking bad.
In 2008, the same fucking, not the same shit, but there was a housing bubble. It broke. You think this will bleed into other markets just like that one?
I mean, again, this is all tied together, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? This whole thing is kind of just tied the fuck together. It's all one thing, right?
Now, I know you ain't got the answer, but what do you think we're looking at?
Death, despair, destruction, you know what I mean? I don't know.
From I was going to say a scale of Jacksonville, Mississippi up to Yugoslavia in the 90s.
Venezuela?
Oh, fuck. Fucking.
Honestly,
yeah, back Back in the winter of 24, we burnt fucking money to stay warm the winter.
That was Colombia. That was Colombia.
I was talking this year.
Yeah. Yo, what up, Prime? Nice to see you out here, my brother. Right? Yeah, General. Like, tell me this shit ain't fucking banana. Like, just the whole thing's bananas as fuck.
Well, I think that it's bigger than a California wildfire, but it's maybe not as big as the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. So at least there's that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's bigger than the Canadian wildfires last year, right? But I mean, I don't know exactly what's going to end up happening, but I do know that like this shit is completely fucked. You know what I mean?
Well, housing prices are going to drop, right?
I mean, they have to. Now that this is out here, I mean, and everybody understand, like, once we're way we're way ahead of the game. They're probably like the rest of the world's like not going to catch up to us for 6 months. I mean, if y'all want to like help out, you can, start like spamming this motherfucker at like the bigger YouTubers. You know what I mean? And showing them this shit.
I do. Okay. I do also find it interesting. It's God. This is literally the government just defrauding people because the government itself is broke, and it has to steal from people to even like keep itself afloat. This isn't a very nice thing for the government to do. It's kind of like it's mean behavior. It's mean.
Is this that top-down economics I learned about in school?
Yes.
Trickle down? Yes. Yeah, it's trickle down. Yeah, Ronald Reagan. I mean, technically, this is this is like old world shit, right? Where they're like, you know what, man? Listen, we can just, like move some shit around, take it from the left pocket, put it into the right, that type of thing, right? I mean, it's not like this is literally bread and circuses. This is what this is. This is fucking bread and circuses. This is what they mean by that, right? Where like what we're gonna do is we will motherfucking make your house inflated in price so you can borrow more money off of your house and be able to go buy a boat, right? And like at the same time you can pay us the motherfucking taxes that you owe us with that money.
Well, and actually, that's a really good system. As long as everything goes perfectly.
As long as your money doesn't lose 1% of its total value over the course of like every month.
Yeah, I mean, unless something were to happen, like massive inflation, this is a great system.
I mean, this is a great system. I mean, if if you just have an exponential growth of income, this would be a great system.
This is an excellent system if you're a transgender computer programmer from fucking San Francisco.
Hey, then you're infinitely hireable.
Yeah. Which, by the way, household income is being reduced by, fucking, like $10,000 in the past 2 years. So, I mean, listen, things are going well. You know what I mean?
Look, as long as we continue to import the third world, I think that we'll be okay. I mean, this is sustainable.
I feel like it's not.
Okay, so then, step by step, let's break down how this will fucking go, at least in thought. All right, so when do you think this is going to break to the public?
Within,
December.
How long can the bullshit continue, right? Like bullshit is usually what drives markets.
Okay, all right, listen. So like, okay, I'm usually a year ahead of the game, right? That's usually about where my channel is. It's about a year ahead of everybody. So if everybody figures out that the government basically told them their house is worth more than what it is in order to tax them and defraud them of fucking capital, maybe 4 or 5 months.
Okay. So
So everybody figures out that the government is robbing them blind. Knowing Americans and you having lived through 08, Tom,
Yeah.
What do you think is gonna? Where do you think this goes? Because I don't see this turning violent like it sounds.
No,
I think
this
I
won't lead
think
to
this is
violence.
gonna go. Yeah, no, I think this is just gonna
Well-
turn into another fucking toilet paper crusade.
Well, here's the question: which one hits first? The unemployment causing people not to be able to afford their houses and massive amounts of like fucking bankruptcies happening and foreclosures, or this?
Or World War III.
I don't know.
Man, there's a lot of things going wrong right now.
I mean, that unemployment rate just crept up, you know what I mean, like 1% over the past year or so.
Now, I'm not like there's a common phrase called guns in hands that might come into handy in like I don't know the next 3 years.
I feel where you are.
Yeah, you know, in case you want to go on like a group hunting trip for pheasants.
I mean, like, I'm getting back in with my family, so, like, I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, 12 gauge supremacy, all that type of shit will be all right? But,
You shot my fucking RPK. You know it's not supreme.
yeah, I understand, right? But, like, again, you know what I mean? Like, this is going to be what this is going to be. You know, fucking, like, you know, I got places to hide, right? So this is fucking bad, though. Like, this right here is 100% fucking bad.
You know, I like to live on the more positive side of life. Look, the big burn down, the big forest fire, it has to happen at some point, and it's always better sooner rather than later, because the more that we push it off, the worse it'll be. So if we're gonna, I am pro forest fire, you know. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it'll lead to more opportunities for young people. You know, if the housing prices go to shit, then more people can buy houses.
Wait. I gotta make a quick announcement for everybody that just joined the stream and for General who just joined the stream. Kamala chose Tim Waltz, right?
Yeah, who is that?
Everyone thought it was going to be Shapiro, but it's Waltz. All right.
Yeah. I just want to let everybody know. You know, what I mean, she chose Tim Walz. Fucking, you know, what I mean, I covered him and like his stances earlier in the stream. Yeah, it's a good stream. You know, what I mean, I covered all the news. You know what I mean, everything like that. I just wanted to let everybody know what was going on. You know what I mean? That way, you know what I mean? Like, listen, go back in the stream. I covered the British thing. I covered the fucking Bangladesh thing. I covered the Iran-Israel conflict. I covered like fucking, you know what I mean, Kamala, Mamala picking the shit. You know what I mean? Right, so we're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but so General, as you were saying with the whole, maybe this will be like a better with the fact that the sooner the better, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
That would be ideal if it weren't for the fact that like the entire infrastructure has been put off for 50 years and it's starting to fall apart to the degree where in Harrisburg, PA, they lost water pipes. They don't know where the fuck they are, and they're starting to burst.
Oh,
like
yeah,
basic plumbing.
This whole thing is fucked, right? But it's not like it's gonna unfuck itself just randomly, right? It's better to let it burn down now than in 5 years, because in 5 years the burn will be even worse. You know, like it's gotta happen at some point.
Yo, we should make a tutorial on how to make toilet paper from scratch. Get them fucking YouTube views before the internet goes down.
I'm actually I'm pro bidet personally.
I'm pro bidet too. I am pro bidet myself. I'll be honest with you.
It's cleaner.
Both a bunch of fucking hosers.
Literally.
Oh man. Yeah, Willie, you need to get the fuck out of there, buddy.
Yeah. I told you like a month ago, get the hell out of Dodge.
No, listen, we told you like 2 years ago, get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, I mean, this has been a long
I walk
time.
out of his local 7-Eleven, right?
Yeah.
There is rap music, fucking dudes high on fentanyl walking down the fucking street. There's a drunk black guy passed out on a fucking Altima with a bottle of Hennessy next to him. He lives in the hood. It is a shit show.
It sounds like that guy's
Joshua Demers, the retarded genius, is here. What up, Joshua?
We had
in chat.
We had a gay homeless man ask us for money.
That happens.
How did you know he was gay? Did you suck his dick?
Willie knew he was gay. Willie knew he was gay.
Well, you know Willie.
I don't.
Man. Yeah.
I think it's probably because he fought, or he banged out all the homeless women in the area, so he can kind of know what's left.
Good for him.
I feel you. I feel you. Right now, currently, Willie's banging a chick who's like 6'4". You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that bitch is a monster.
Fucking monster. Big old titties though.
Oh yeah, she got like that librarian look to her.
Ooh.
Yeah, like glasses, blondish hair, if I'm remembering right.
That's kind of hot.
Yeah, good for him, you know. Be what it is. But yeah,
My
I don't
female,
know, man.
my female's over here like, bro, listen, you know what I mean? She's like, I'm not 6'4". I'm like, I know you're not 6'4". I'm not talking about you because she's tall too. She's like 5'10". But yeah, man, you know, this is where we are. Things is, you know, I mean, getting fucking bananas. But like, it's 5 o'clock. General, listen, I'll be back in like an hour and a half when I'm heading to work. I don't know where you're gonna be at. You know what I mean? I have to go take a shit. If y'all want to meet back here in my Discord, we can. You know what I mean, and hang out tonight. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds
might
good.
as well.
All right.
Yeah,
my
we can
bro.
get Willie in here to defend himself.
I feel you. Listen, I'm gonna holla at y'all, man. Listen, thanks for everybody coming out. Peace is like one. I'm up out of here, man. Watch all stream.